What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video on the topic of prayer. We're in the middle of the Pray with Anna 30-day prayer challenge in April, where we are spending 10 minutes a day of focused, undistracted prayer on a certain topic. And I really believe that God's spoken to my heart that He wants to show us what He will do with focused prayer in our lives. And I'm really excited to see the results of that and to hear from you all how, those of you who are participating in the prayer challenge, how it's going and what you've been seeing the Lord do in your lives and the lives of the people that you're praying for. I wanted to address a question that I got several times in the last couple weeks about, Anna, when you talk about praying scripture over someone's life, how do you do that and what do you mean by that? So when I am praying scripture over someone's life, I am literally taking a passage of scripture and personalizing it to the person or the situation I'm praying about. A lot of times God leads me to a passage. How does He lead me? Well, sometimes I'm just praying everyday regular words for someone, like, God, help that person to become more like you. I'm going to use the name John just as a good example. So I'll be praying, Lord, I pray that John would become more like you. And then the Lord will remind me of a specific scripture. Sorry, I have all these highlighters and pens in my hand from my Bible because I have my Bible cover open, but the Lord will remind me of a specific scripture and have me pray it for that person. A lot of times I will go to a passage and I will personalize it, and sometimes I'll write it in my prayer journal. That video is coming about how I use my prayer journal. I guarantee it. But I felt like this one was more urgent because a lot of people asked. So I'll go to a passage. So I wanted to show you guys how I do that. So a week ago, the Lord led me to pray Ephesians 5 over the person that I'm focusing my prayers on in the month of April. My 10 minutes of that specific prayer, not my entire prayer life, but just that 10 minutes, right? And so the Lord led me to Ephesians 5. I read over it a couple of times and really reflected on it. I wrote it in my prayer journal, and then I have been praying it over that person's life like pretty frequently, and I've just been replacing it. So I want to show you how I do that. I'm going to be reading out of actually the New International Version because even though I prefer New Living Translation, I'm studying out of the NIV this year in 2018. So here's how I pray scripture over John's life. Lord, I pray that John would be an imitator of you as a dearly loved child and live a life of love, just as Christ loved him and gave himself up for John as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Then I'm going to skip over to verse 6 because I pray the whole passage, but just for time's sake. So, Lord, I pray that John would let no one deceive him with empty words. And Lord, I pray that he would be obedient to you, Lord, that he would not be disobedient, that he would not experience your wrath, but that you would have mercy on him and help him to be obedient. I pray that he would not be partners with people who are disobedient. So that's how I would pray those verses. That's 3 verses, verses 1, 2, and 6, and actually verse 7, 4 verses. But I want to read those verses to you that so that you hear them without the personalization, so you get an idea of how I did that. So it's kind of a reverse order. But here's what Ephesians 5, 1 and 2, and 6 and 7 say. Be imitators of God, therefore, as dearly loved children, and live a life of love, just as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us as a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. Verse 6. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of such things, God's wrath comes on those who are disobedient. Therefore, do not be partners with them. So do you see how I tweaked it and I just prayed it over John's life? So that's how I pray that scripture. Another example that I have is I have been studying Psalm 2 lately. If you follow me on Instagram or if you've watched any of my scripture writing videos lately, you will have seen that I am focused on Psalm 2 right now, and I've been studying it. And last night, my mom and dad had a prayer meeting for our country and for the president, and they had like at least 4 or 5 people praying with them over the phone on speakerphone. They like merged their calls. And as they were praying over a certain topic, and the Lord brought Psalm 2 to my memory. It happened to be a scripture that perfectly matched like the topic they were praying for. And so I pulled up Psalm 2 on my phone on the YouVersion Bible app because I love using that app. And I just read over it and I was like, yeah, that scripture does apply to what they're praying for right now. And I highlighted it in my phone. I showed it to my mom. She prayed it aloud. I was praying it over the situation as well. And so the Lord just brought that scripture to my memory in the middle of a prayer meeting, a group prayer meeting, and we just prayed it, my mom specifically, prayed it over the president. And it was the perfect scripture to pray. So yeah, that's a couple of different examples of how I personally pray scripture over a person's life or over a situation's life. and I hope that was helpful for you all. If it was, give the video a thumbs up. If you have any further questions on this topic, or any questions about prayer in general, feel free to leave me a question in the comments below this video. I've been having a hard time responding to every comment under every video like I used to do before I had a newborn baby. She's not newborn, she's 3 months old on Tuesday, but before I had a little baby, I tried to be on top of replying to every single comment. I'm reading all your comments, but I haven't necessarily had time to stop in the middle of everything and reply to all of them. So if you have a question or comment, I will try to get back to you and reply in the comments under the video, but at least you know that I'm reading for it. And if you leave a prayer request, I do take time right then when I read it to pray over it. And if you have a question, sometimes I make a video like this one to kind of help address that question. So I hope this video was beneficial to you. It inspired you, motivated you, made something more clear for you. And I'll see you guys soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching. Okay, bye.